Welcome back to Investing and Trading Live, sponsored by Trading Academy. My name is Josh Lilquist, and we are having a good time talking about the financial markets today. We got into really a kind of the beginning pieces of doing something in the financial markets, and it's knowing what to do, when to do it. We have great opportunities in the markets. Talked about in the last segment, Apple's been downward on a downward spiral lately. Meta, which is formerly known as Facebook, it's almost like Prince. Has been up. Nvidia is up near all-time highs. Google is up. Nike is down. So these high-flying stocks are well-known stocks. There's a lot of differences in what's happening there, and the overall market has been pretty stagnant. I'll say really for the whole start of 2024. Had a drop, it came back up, and now we've been seeing a drop, especially Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We've seen some pretty good drops. So just opportunities in all directions. We did have a lot of people texting in for that investing class that we do locally at our academies and across the metro. If you did miss seats for that, by the way, you get 2 seats for that, one for you and one for a friend. Simply just text the word investing to the number 210-210. When you do that, you get 2 seats plus a quick start kit, and that will help you get started right away. Make sure to subscribe and follow the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. That's Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Just search for Investing and Trading Live. So, Al, in this segment here, I want to talk a little bit about financial literacy, or I should say lack thereof. I've been seeing a lot of different things on social media as of late about financial literacy, and it's just not there. They don't train individuals, people, how to invest their money. They don't train them how to trade in the markets in school. They don't do it in elementary, high school, college. And it's really, in my opinion, it's a disservice to the public, because that is what they're supposed to do, quote unquote, to create a retirement account. They're supposed to invest their extra dollars.
Right.
So there's a couple challenges there, though, Al. There is one challenge where people don't make enough, so they're having a tough time or struggle saving for that retirement time.
The extra dollars aren't there.
Yep, to be able to invest. But then when the people that do have that extra capital, they're not sure what to do with it. And they're trusting strangers to guide them. Well, if you're putting your money into a basket and you have somebody, quote unquote, managing it for you, whose interest do they really have? So in the next segment, I want to actually talk a lot about, what you can do with those retirement accounts, 401ks and IRAs. But kind of addressing that first question is, some people listening right now probably have great jobs, doing really well, but it's not getting any cheaper to live these days. So they're looking for income strategies using the markets. Okay. Yeah. So let's just say somebody has, I don't know, maybe $5,000 to $10,000 set aside where they have access to it. Say it's in a savings account, or maybe underneath their pillow or mattress, or in their sock drawer, wherever that may be. How does somebody get started to create an income strategy with the markets? Do you go to a bank? Do you just go online and search for something? And I know you discuss that a lot in these investing classes that are people coming into, that are coming to these classes. But let's just talk a little bit about what can somebody do if they have a few bucks set aside.
Well, there are all sorts of brokerage firms that you can put your money with. Anybody can open an account. Anybody can participate in the markets. But I would say before you do that, that's kind of secondary, choosing a broker. The first thing is getting the right education so you know what to do. And once you have the right education, that may help you determine which broker you use, because some of them maybe are better suited for certain assets than others. But the first thing is to understand how you can be successful. And here's one of the things that we hear. I hear these 2 things very, very frequently these days, Josh. One is that people come in and they say, why do so many of my trades go against me? I listened to the experts. I did my fundamental analysis. I only picked great companies and I lost money. Or we hear, I had this great profit. We hear this every week.
I know where you're going.
I had a great profit and then I lost it all. Well, one of 2 things happened. Either those people were not educated to begin with, or they had the wrong education, because those are things that shouldn't be part of your vocabulary as a successful trader or investor.
Just going back a little bit there, you mentioned it's anybody can get into the market. That's a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah, that's correct.
Because what's happening, and I've been seeing this all across the metro here, is because it is so easy to go and open a brokerage account, put money in it, and buy and hope something goes up.
Right.
Since it's so easy to do that, everybody thinks it's actually that easy. That's why we have training for people. We have education and skill building things. And that's it starts in these workshops that we're going to be giving away seats to. But you have to understand what to do, like you said in the first segment,
Right.
at the right time. And but also the right asset that's designed for your goals too.
Exactly. Right, because there's a different way of approaching the markets. If you're looking for additional income, which is basically additional cash that you need to do a number of things with, maybe pay your bills. And by the way, if you look back in 2020, the people that lived on, let's say, a $70,000 salary, to mimic that same lifestyle today, 2-3 years later, would be over 110,000.
Yeah.
That's the impact of inflation. That's what's happened to a lot of people. People that maybe thought they were comfortable or just kind of on the verge of being comfortable, all of a sudden felt a big hit from inflation, even though the rate of inflation is going down, the rate of growth of inflation is coming down, but a lot of the prices are not coming
No,
down.
food
with it.
hasn't came down. I mean,
No.
you go to a restaurant. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, you think about it, this happens all the time. It's just part of how the world works, I guess. If you go back 20 years or 50 years or 100 years ago and you look at what you could buy for $100 and then compare it to what you can buy now for $100, it's significantly different. And that's going to continue to change. And by the way, that's one of the reasons that learning to generate an additional source of income is so important, because the cost of living is going to continue to increase. If you retire at the age 65, there's a good chance that the cost of living for you when you're in your 80s or maybe close to 90 is going to have doubled. So the amount of money that you think you need to get through retirement may be far short of what you actually need. But for a lot of people, how do you do that? How do you generate enough money to not only pay your bills, live your life, but have enough money left over to put into a retirement account? And that many times requires additional income. For some people, the way they pursue that is to get another job, a second or third job, work overtime, maybe just cut back on things. We hear a lot of financial advisors giving that advice. Just learn to live on less right now. You'll have more put aside for retirement. Maybe not. Maybe when you go into retirement, you have to continue to cut down. But is that how you enjoy life, by cutting back on things and writing down the things you need to cut out of your life? No, not really. And if there is a way of being able to make choices because you have the ability financially to do that, wouldn't that be a good thing for you? And how do you do that? Well, one of the things that we really concentrate on, and we'll go over it in these classes, is the assets that you can use and some of the strategies that can be used for additional income, which doesn't mean getting in your car and driving to a job somewhere. You can sit at your kitchen table. You don't have to get out of bed. As long as you've got a phone, a computer, a connection to the internet, you have the ability to generate income from the markets. You just need to know how to do it.
Yep.
There are assets that are perfect for this. You mentioned earlier, if you had like $5,000,
Yep.
What could you do? Well, how many shares of NVIDIA could you buy for $5,000? It's trading, $470 a share. Even Apple around.
Actually, NVIDIA is over 560 something.
Wow. Okay. Then
Hey, did you fall asleep for a couple days?
I must have.
That's how much NVIDIA has moved in the last couple months here.
NVIDIA has had a huge move up over the last few years. It was, I think I had a chart here.
Well, you look at
NVIDIA back at the end of 2021, it was trading at $294. At the end of 2023, it was $495. It had that much of a move.
Yeah, the beginning of 2023 was at 150.
2023?
Sorry, 2023. Sorry. Yeah.
Well, because 2023 was a huge up year for that, because companies like NVIDIA, Tesla, Apple, Microsoft, Meta, they all went significantly lower back in 2022. They a lot of them were down 50 to 70%.
Well, NVIDIA was down 64% at that in 2022.
Right,
64%.
Yeah.
Think about that.
So this year it's come back. It's not only recouped its losses, it's had a profit. But the companies that we're talking about, you mentioned Nike not doing well. Well, one of the things that you don't hear associated with Nike is artificial intelligence. All those companies that have had a big move, the big mover has been their association with artificial intelligence. What this kind of reminds me of, though, is back in the year 2000, when the .com bubble was building, every company that had .com after its name people were throwing money in just like they are with artificial intelligence now. So you have to be very careful. You have to be selective because not all of these companies are going to be successful.
Yeah, and that just goes back to what you said in that first segment is what asset to get into, what stock to get into in this example, and then what to do with it and how to do it, right?
Right.
And we train and teach strategies that are designed for that right here at the academy. So if you're a person that wants to get into Nvidia, well, I don't want to say it's too late or too early. It's still going up, but who knows what's going to happen? It doesn't
Right.
matter whether you want to go long or short. There's opportunities no matter what happens there. So just check out one of these investing classes. They're, by the way, they're free. They're
Mhm.
2 hours. We do them during the week. We have them on the weekends as well. So simply just text investing to the number 210 for 2 seats for an investing class to get started on different strategies with the markets, even if you're brand new. So kind of going back to financial literacy, Al, and it starts with knowledge.
Right.
Now, people that we alluded to a couple times, let's just say somebody has between 5 and 10,000 bucks. To trade Nvidia, it's going to be difficult to do.
Mhm.
So they need a leveraged asset.
Right.
Real quick, let's talk about those leveraged assets. Let's do futures and forex here. Kind of how they're used. We got to not quite enough time to go through both of them.
Right.
Let's just talk about how leverage works in the
Okay.
financial markets because that's financial literacy right there.
Leverage is something that I think almost everybody listening to the show has used or will use. If you have a mortgage on a house, that's leverage. You put a down payment down, and you now control something worth much more than that down payment. Maybe $30,000 now allows you to control something worth $300,000 or $400,000. You could do the same thing in the financial market. So instead of buying maybe 10 shares of NVIDIA with your $5,000, what if you could control 100 shares of it for maybe, in the hundreds? The leveraged assets allow you to really get the maximum benefit out of every dollar you have. Look at each dollar as being an employee, and you want to get the greatest productivity out of it. So what if you could take a dollar, and for every dollar you invest, that is going to allow you to control something worth $20 or $30 or $50? That's using leverage. And there are assets that we teach you that they're available to everybody listening to this show that you can benefit from. If you are looking at growing your assets, if maybe your portfolio hasn't come back totally from the loss in 2022, or you're just getting started, in order to beat what most people are put into, instead of being average or mediocre, if you want to exceed that, then these are fantastic assets to use. You can have a small amount of money that controls something much bigger. You control the risk. We show you how to do that, and that's how people build wealth. That's how all of the professional, the
What was that?
professional. I don't know.
There you go.
Somehow my tongue twisted itself. The professional traders out there, they're all using these leveraged assets. Wall Street uses it. Your brokerage firm probably is using leveraged assets, but they're not teaching you how to do it, or they're not putting you in those leveraged assets.
Yeah, there's just a lot of opportunities, and it does come down to the financial literacy, and we talk, and we teach that right here at the academy is what those strategies are, what those techniques are, that because this might be brand new for some people, and people are probably thinking, well, why would I do that? Well, if the successful institutions are always profiting, no matter what, any direction, and they're maximizing the capital that they have, and you're not, there's a disconnect. So why not check these out and see what these are, see what those strategies are, to see if it makes sense for you. Because if you don't know, you have to go somewhere to find out. Once you find out, as Al said in the first segment, you have to do something about it. So if you're looking for, let's just say, an income strategy on top of your job, or maybe as your full-time, I don't know your situation, but there's different situations out there. There are strategies that are designed for that. So we talk about these different strategies in these investing classes. Simply just come into these classes. They're about 2 hours long. You can just text the word investing to the number 210 right now for 2 seats for that class. We have them during the week, on the weekends, and also in the evenings. Matter of fact, I taught one here this week on, I believe it was Wednesday night.
You did.
We had a great class, great people coming in. That's the cool thing is we had a lot of great people, a lot of successful people coming into these because they're looking to do better for their families. Text investing to the number 210. We're going to continue this financial literacy talk on the next segment on the retirement side of things, your 401ks and IRAs. So stay tuned. This is Josh and Al, Investing and Trading Live. We will be right back.